Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good time wherever you are. Today I'm going to be doing a quick update on the home caregiver pilot pathway pathway to PR in Canada. You know, there's been this news about this opening that the Canadian government was going to open up in March. And a few weeks ago, they announced that they were going to start it up by March 31st. So just about, I think last week, we got to know, or 2 weeks ago, we got to know that this pilot system, this home caregiver pathway that was initially said to be opened, like everybody were expectant that it was going to be open to everybody, but suddenly we got an update that the 31st opening was just going to be for the residents, that people who are resident in Canada, like immigrant residents in Canada and do not have PR yet. So for 31st of March, this opening is going to be for only people that resident in Canada. So if you are not residing in Canada, you don't live in Canada, this is not your time. It's not your time to apply. It is strictly for people that are resident in Canada, have healthcare work experience or home care experience, and do not have a PRO. Okay. So this home care, I'll be reading because I don't want to give you any false information. So you might be seeing me looking down and reading through my notes because I took time to make detailed notes about this information. A lot of people have been waiting, a lot of misinforming information. A lot of people are just telling people things that are not real. So I went to the website through the night and I was able to get this information for you. So the home caregiver pilot is also known as for child care and home support, helps skilled workers. It helps skilled workers who have a job offer in the field to immigrate to Canada permanently. So if you have experience in caregiving, this is an opportunity for you to immigrate from anywhere you are in this world to Canada. And it is not like you have a temporary work permit. After your work is done, you go back. You can live in Canada permanently, and not just by yourself. If you have dependent children, you have dependent spouse or dependent relative that are dependent on you, you can actually bring them into Canada with you. Like I said earlier on, again, this one that is opening on March 31st is for people that are in Canada, that are already residing in Canada. A date will be the other people. For people outside Canada, the Canadian government has said there's going to be an update as to when applicants from outside Canada will be applying. Okay. So applying for permanent resident through this pilot, you must be eligible to apply for permanent resident through the pilot if you have a full-time offer in home care, you have relevant experience or training, or you have the required language skills and education. So these are for the people that are already in Canada, that are residing in Canada, resident of Canada. For you to be eligible for this program on March 31st, you must have a full-time job offer in home care. Home care. Home care might be private. Home care might be a company. Support worker, you also fall into this group. You must have relevant work experience or training. So if you don't have the work experience, because they said you must have been in that job for 3 years before the application date, or continuously 6 months before the application date. And their definition of a full-time job is 30 hours paid job. 30 hours. Anything less than 30 hours, you are not eligible for it. Or you have 2 part-time jobs. You work in 2 places. One of those part-time must be equal to 30 hours before you can be considered eligible for that job, for application. Now, let's assume you don't have a full-time job. You don't have a full-time job. You know, you've been here, you don't have a full-time job, because for the past 2 years now, it's been very difficult for people to get full-time job in Canada. It's always been like part-time or casual, right? So if you don't have a full-time job, but you have education, like you have the training in that field within 2 years, you have that training within 2 years, you are eligible to apply for this program. Okay, then the next thing is that you must meet the language requirement. If you have a full-time job, you have the work experience, and you have the training, you also need to meet the English language requirement. I've had people saying, I've lived in Canada, do I still need it? Yes, you still need the English language requirement. You need to meet that criteria. And you also need to have the skills and education. Okay, that brings us to the requirement. So this pilot offer permanent residence to skills worker who want to work in home childcare or home support in Canada. And there are 2 pilots. In this pilot, there are 2 pilots. In this pathway, there are 2 pilots. One pilot is a home care worker immigration pilot. That has to do with child care. Home care worker immigration pilot. Home care worker immigration pilot home support. So home support will be people who work in this people with disability home, like those support home. Okay, each pilot again has 2 application streams. It has 2 application streams. Remember, the pilots are 2: home support worker, home care worker, like child care and home support. Then in each of these streams, we have 2 application stream. One is the workers in Canada. The first application stream is the workers in Canada. So the workers that are already resident in Canada or resides in Canada. And then the other one is applicants not working in Canada. That means you don't live in Canada, you don't work in Canada, you live outside Canada, anywhere in the world apart from Canada. So this is the second stream. Okay, but the 31st of March, for those that are applying by the 31st of March, those that will be applying 31st of March, is only open to those workers who are already in Canada, not for those outside of Canada. Okay, so when the pilot opened, the government said when the pilot opened for applicants, it said when the pilots open, we will only accept applications for workers in Canada stream. The stream for applicants not working in Canada will open at a later date. So they are going to be communicating the dates to everyone. Okay, now who can apply? Who can apply? Like I already said, if you work in Canada, now it's your turn to apply. Find a job that how can you apply? You need to check if you are eligible to get a job offer, and the eligibility, I already talked about it from the beginning. You need to check, am I eligible? Then when you check, if you check if you are eligible for to get a job offer, if you are eligible, then find out that all the requirement, find out a job that meets all the requirement for your application. Does this job meet my requirements? Is this agency allowed to give me this job? So then you go to their portal, the how to apply. You go to IRCC portal. When you get there, you will see those resident in Canada stream. You click on the portal. It will not open now until March 31st Eastern Time, 10 a.m. That is when it opens. So find out how to complete and submit your application form. That I already said. You have to go to IRCC portal. I will put the link on the description section of this video. So after you apply, what to do if we approve your application? So after you apply, they are going to, the IRCC immigration, they are going to check your application, and if you meet all the criteria, then they are going to reach out to you. Then you are going to have to do your biometrics. You are going to do every other thing that they will require from that time. And of course, within this period of time, you have to make sure that your address, all information, all data concerning you, they are kept intact, and they are like very most recent, especially if you are moving home within that period of time. Okay, now who can apply? To qualify for the home care worker immigration pilot, you must plan to live in Canada, outside Quebec. You must meet the specific requirement for the stream you apply to. I already mentioned those requirements from the beginning of this video. You must meet the language requirements. The language requirements, you can either do a CEPIC, you can do the IELTS, or you can do the PETS. That's PESI English tests. That's a new one. You can do either PETS, that's piercing English test. You can either do CELBIC, or you can do the IELTS, which most people are familiar with, right? Then the next thing you want to talk about is, oh, sorry, a lot of people have been asking me what type of IELTS are they writing. Usually for the purpose of immigration or migration, it is always general. So you are required to write the general IELTS, not the academic. And the good thing is that you only need the lowest score, which is level 4. That's all you need for this application. Okay, you have to meet the educational requirements. So for them to verify your educational requirements, you need to send to organizations here in Canada that do verification of your requirements, especially if you are coming from outside Canada, or you studied in Canada but your first degree or whatsoever you use, you have not verified it. You might need to verify that. Or you can also use your certificate that you study with here. They might not need to verify that. So you must have enough relevant work experience or training. Again, if you've looked after kids, if you've worked before, or you did courses like personal support worker, continuous care education, continuous care assistant course, or healthcare assistant, nursing assistant courses, ECA, you will be eligible for that. So you must have a job offer as a home care provider or a home support worker. You must be admissible to Canada. Excuse me. So I will talk about what it means to be admissible to Canada on the later part of this video. So now, how do you get this job? You know, So that's definitely for people that are actually in Canada, right? If you are already in Canada, if you are to be eligible for this stream, you must be you must be eligible to work in Canada stream. You must, sorry, let me say that again. Stream eligibility. To be eligible for the workers in Canada stream, you must be already in Canada. You can be physically outside of Canada when you apply. For example, maybe you lived in Canada and now you can't make it down here before 31st. You can apply because you are still a resident. You just went away on holiday. But you will need to show that you normally reside in Canada, right? You are authorized to work in full-time in any occupation in a non-seasonal job. When they say non-seasonal, it's not a summer holiday job. It's not like a in and out job. It's like constantly. Okay. You must have a valid work permit and your status is being maintained. You know, then you can. There is what they call the public policies. It should be applicable to you too. If you are not authorized to work through one of the above options, you are not eligible for this stream. So all these lists that I made, those things that I listed, for people that are, they are for people that can go into the stream, the Canadian resident, the workers in Canada stream. Again, you must be in Canada. You can be physically outside of Canada by the time you apply. That is to say, you are a permanent resident or you are originally a resident of Canada, in Canada, or of Canada, but you went away on holiday during this time. But you must also be able to prove that you're originally a resident of Canada. You are authorized to work in Canada full-time, not seasonal. You have a valid work permit. You maintain your status, and you have like some public policies around it. If you do not belong to any of this group, please do not apply, because it is a whoopee amount of 1,525 to apply. So if you don't belong to this group, don't go waste your money. That's what they said here. Okay, if you are not authorized to work through one of the above, you are not eligible for this stream. For example, you are not eligible if you are working without a work permit, or you are a business visitor, or you are under the condition of your study permit, like students. You are not eligible to apply. So there are some people that they refer to as out of status people here. I have to check to know what they are, their category, because I've never heard that. I've never heard that before until last night and this morning when I researched for it. It said immigrants through the home care pilot, out of status and unauthorized home care workers. So if you are a home care worker without status, if you are a home care worker without status, listen and listen well, because this is strange to me. I don't know it. I didn't know it until this morning. So it's good to research. If you are a home care worker without status in Canada or authorization to work, you may be eligible for the home care worker immigration pilot under a public policy. So this is the public policy. This public policy exempts a small group of applicants from certain requirements of the workers in Canada stream. This means that you could still be eligible for the workers in Canada stream even if you don't have legal status in Canada and not authorized to work in Canada. How that works, I don't know. Immigration they know better they know what they are talking about. But I'm just reading it to you so that you know if you belong to that group, you might be a candidate for it. You have legal status in Canada as a visitor, but you are not authorized to work. Your previous work experience in Canada as a home caregiver was not authorized or not gained while you had a temporary resident status. You can include accompanying family members in Canada on your application, even if they have overstayed their temporary resident status or worked or studied without authorization. But in all this, you must still meet all other requirements of home caregiver pilot, like the English test, you know, the credential assessment. You still need to make it. So who is eligible? You must meet the requirements to qualify. If you are in Canada when you applied, you do not have authorization to work, and you don't have temporary resident status. So they are talking about the unauthorized people who could be eligible for this program. Or a visitor, you must have entered Canada legally before December 16th, 2021 and lived here continuously since then. Before this is for the unauthorized persons they talked about. You had a work permit at some point during that period. You are not admissible for reasons other than overstaying your temporary residence. Right? Working or studying without authorization. Having a family member who have overstayed their temporary residence status or worked or studied without authorization. Who is not eligible? Persons that are not eligible. You are not eligible for the policy if any of these status or any of this situation apply. You started living in Canada after December 16th, 2021. You made a refugee claim. You are under a removal order. You are currently in Canada on a study permit. So these last people who is not eligible, let me state them again. You are not eligible for the public policy if any of this situation apply. You started living in Canada after December 16, 2021. You made a refugee claim. You are under a removal order. You are currently in Canada on a study permit. You haven't had a valid work permit at any point during your current period of residence in Canada. Work permit before this period of residence doesn't count. Now, how to apply? How to apply if you are an out of status and unauthorized worker. So you can work under the home care worker, immigration pilot, child care workers in Canada. That is the public policy, or you can also do it under the home support worker in Canada public policy. So you provide forms and documents listed. There are so many forms that you need to fill. If you go online to their, I'm going to put the link on the description section. If you go online, you're going to see those forms. How to apply? They said we will be accepting the following number of applications. Workers in Canada stream open March 31st, 2025, Eastern Time, 10 a.m. The deadline for this intake is March 30th, 2026. So between now and next year, 2026, they will be getting application if the cap is not reached. But I guarantee you the cap is going to be reached so quickly. So get your stuff ready. Okay. So they are going to be getting, for workers in Canada online, they are going to be taking as much as 2,350. Alternate format might be 260. Out of status and unauthorized workers, the category of people I just talked about, they're going to be taking 125, and alternate online, and alternate format is going to be 15. And they said home care worker immigration pilot own support category, they are going to be taking workers in Canada, again 2,350 applicants online. Then alternate format might be through hard copy and all those stuff. It's going to be 260 again. And for out of status and unauthorized workers online, 125, and alternate format is going to be 15. He said applicants not working in Canada is closed right now. It's closed. This one is not for you yet. If you are not resident in Canada, this March 31st is not for you. You want to wait for the announcement. So now, who is eligible to hire this pilot? For those that are hiring, to hire through the pilot, you, the potential employer, must be a private household holder, a private household, or a business or non-profitable organization. If you are a business or non-profitable organization, you must have a direct relationship with your employee, meaning you must be directly responsible for hiring the employee, managing work conditions, paying the employee, providing the same type of care services as the job being offered for at least 1 year. It's not just for everybody. You can't just come out now and say, okay, I want to be an employer. You, as a business runner, you must have been doing this business for 1 year before this time, and the same work before you can employ this person. This includes organizations that directly hire full-time workers to provide short-term or occasional home care for those who are semi-independent or recovering from an injury or illness. For example, home health care service provider, home care support service providers, direct care agencies, personal care services in residential settings, pediatric home and care service provider. You must also have a revenue business, a Canada Revenue Agency business number, or get one before you make the job offer. Have a genuine need to hire the applicant. Listen to that. Have a genuine need to hire the applicant. Be able to fulfill the terms of the employment, including paying the applicant. Follow all the rules and laws set by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, federal and provincial legislation, and provincial legislation. That means every governmental law will need to be followed by this employee. By this employer, I meant to say. Who is not eligible? Which employer is not eligible? You can't be an embassy or high commission or consulate, or a person accredited to these missions in Canada, for example, a diplomat. An employer found non-compliant. Maybe they've told you that you are not compliant to be an employer in Canada. You cannot start employing these people now. A business that recruits candidates to be transferred or contracted to other businesses. For example, a recruitment or placement agency. A recruiter cannot recruit anybody. So when people come online to say, get in contact with me, there is a recruitment agency that will give you job, they are not qualified to do it. So don't listen. Like I always say, if it's not on IRCC website, those information is fake. And don't listen to people. There are people there that are there to collect your money and get you stranded. Believe me, I'm in Canada. I see people stranded every time. And that's the reason I started this YouTube. The applicant's spouse, common law partner, parent, grandparent, or child. Your responsibility as an employer. As an employer, you have important responsibilities when hiring a home care worker. Some of them are listed below, but it is your responsibility to follow the rules that apply in your province or your territory. Number 1 is fair work condition. As an employer, you must provide acceptable working condition, reasonable duties, not enslaving the employee. A home care worker is protected by employment standard legislation. In most provinces and territories, this means they are entitled to days off each week, statutory holidays, extra pay for overtime. The home care workers' working hours must meet the requirements under provincial and territorial employment law, whether they live in their own home or employer's private home. It is your responsibility to understand and follow the laws of your province or territory. You must pay tax. If you hire a home caregiver, you must register an employer with the Canada Revenue Agency. This allows you to get a business number and open a payroll account. If you already have them, this applies even if you are a private household and not a business. You must also make the appropriate deduction from your employer's pay. Calculate your share of employer contribution and send this amount to the government. All employers in Canada must keep written employment record. You must provide your employee with a statement of earnings with each paycheck, showing the employer's gross and net pay, deductions and their purpose, total hours worked including overtime during that pay period, a T4 slip for the previous year's employment for the end of February each year, showing the employee's total gross earnings and deduction for income tax purposes. A record of employment if the employee leaves or the position is terminated. Recruitment fees. Listen to this. All of you saying when you get here, you have to pay. He said hiring an employee may include costs such as third-party recruitment fees, advertising fees, fees for assistance or advice in the hiring of foreign nationals. You or anybody recruiting on your behalf cannot, did you hear that? Cannot charge or recover any recruitment fee from the employee, directly or indirectly. As an employer, for each new employee, you must request their social insurance number within 3 days of their start date. C, a social insurance number beginning with a 9 are issued to temporary workers who are neither Canadian citizens or permanent residents. If you hire a home care worker who is not a permanent resident or a citizen, you must verify if they have the legal right to work in Canada, because that becomes your responsibility. Okay, so I'm just going to touch quickly on the people coming from outside. So for people coming from outside, everything you need is just as much as what the people that are going to be applying from within Canada need. The only difference now is that if you are coming from outside, you will need a proof of fund. You will need a proof of fund if you are coming from outside Canada. Of course, like I said, everything that those that are applying within Canada need, you will be needing them for your eligibility to be confirmed. You need a work permit. You need to do your English test. You need to have proof of English language. You need the proof of your credential assessment. You will need a work experience, and you will need a letter of offer. These are also things that the people who reside in Canada right now also need. But the only difference between you and them is that you need proof of fund. They're already here in Canada. Last time they didn't ask people that were coming from outside for proof of fund, but this year this is a very big change. If you are coming to Canada under this stream this time around, you need a proof of fund. And I'm going to let you know that please do not apply if you don't meet the criteria, because your application fee is $1,525. So you want to really make sure that you meet the criteria before you put down that whooping sum of money. It's a lot to waste if you are not qualified. And now, I know a lot of people have been asking this, what is the proof of fund? The proof of fund is the money that you can use to convince the Canadian immigration that when you get to Canada, you'll be able to fend for your family. The reason they are asking for this, I don't really know, because usually when you are coming on a work permit, because these people will be coming in as work permit, they are going to be paid, but I don't know why they are applying. They might have they are asking for it now. They might have their reason. So you will be required to have this handy. And for this proof of fund, what can you use as proof of fund? Your bank statement. Your bank statement, personal bank statement, can be used, or your combined account. If you run a combined account with your joint account with your spouse, so your spouse and you can actually put their bank accounts together to make up this money. If you have investments like landed property, those ones will not be accepted as proof of fund. Proof of fund has to be like liquid money that you can spend. That's money that is made available that you can actually spend. And you need to prove that you will have access to this money when you get to Canada. And what are the requirements for them to accept this? Must be in your name. It must be the bank official. The fund must be put on a letter-headed paper by the bank. It has to be well printed by the bank, and there must be a statement from the bank that you own that amount. Okay? And how much is this amount? Because I know a lot of people will want to know. Before you get the fund, you need to know how much you are funding, right? So depending on your family size, the amount of money you will need will depend on your family size. For example, if you are just single and you are coming by yourself, there's no family, there's nobody accompanying you, you will need $14,690. If you are a family of two, maybe you are married, husband and wife, or common law partners, and you don't have kids yet, your amount will be like $18,288. Then if you are married, you now have a child, just one child, or maybe you have a dependent, not your child, dependent child, you are not 3. Your amount will now rise to $22,484. Then again, maybe, okay, I'm a family of 4. I am myself, my husband, and 2 kids. Your amount is going to be up to $27,297. And remember, it has to be in your account. Or okay, we are more than 4. Okay, how much are we? 25. We are 5 people, 5 family members. Your amount is going to be $30,690. Now, if you are more than 5, you are now 6. Your amount is going to be $34,917. If you are 7, family of 7, father and mother, and 5 children, your amount is going to be $38,875. And if you are more than 7, every other amount, every other additional person, you just had $3,958 to $38,875. And that will give you, just keep adding. If you are 10, if you are 11, if you are 12, just keep adding that to the previous amount, and that is going to give you the amount that you need. So again, amount is dependent on your family size. There's no full amount. There's no full amount to say, this is how much you are paying. So I hope this video has helped you. I didn't really intend to make it this lengthy, but the information there's no way you can cut anything short from this information, or it becomes incomplete. So please, if you are already in Canada, get your things ready. This is an opportunity. At least you won't have to go through the rigorous exercises of doing 7. You just need a 4. And plus, you don't have to stay 3 years and the rest. You are getting your permanent residence straight away. And if you are not in Canada and you have all this qualification, please start getting your money ready. That's the biggest thing now. The biggest thing is the funding. Start getting it ready. Because without the fund, in fact, this is a new one. This one week people like to do. We soak for inside oil. So please give this video a thumbs up, comment, encourage me, share, like, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please encourage me by subscribing. I know I've not been very consistent. I take that blame that my channel isn't growing because I haven't really been the most consistent person. I've never been consistent. I've been like just hopping here and there. But please show me some love, subscribe, like, share, comment, ask your questions. This is free of charge. Ask your questions. And once again, I want to appreciate you for staying with me. Oh, before I go, there are so many forms that you will need to fill. When you open the portal, it's going to guide you. And please make sure you have Adobe downloader on your desktop or your laptop. you must have Adobe or whatsoever you are using, because you cannot download the IROCC application form without Adobe downloader. Thank God I remember that. I almost forgot. So please, if you have watched this far, that means it was quite informative. Support me, like, subscribe, share, you know, give this information out. Let's share, let's help as many as we can help with this information. Once again, to all my global channel asset family, global asset channel family, I want to appreciate you. Thumbs up to you for always coming, even though this lady here, this small girl here, does not come on every time. Some of you still take some time to take a peek at what I'm doing. If I'm still alive, yes, I'm still alive. But it's just like life struggles and everything. So please subscribe, like, share, comment, ask your question, and I wish you all the best. I want to read my comment someday and see somebody saying to me, thank you, your guidance was very important. I'm now in Canada. I'm looking forward to that deal. I've been looking forward to that day. You know, please share. You don't know who this is going to help. Once again, thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.